These are the accessories included with the machine. So this is the buttonhole foot, so that attaches, that's needed to guide the needle while you're making your buttonhole in conjunction with changing the settings on the machine. Then to sew in a buttonhole, or sorry, to sew on a button, you have this button foot, which has sort of blue grips on one side here, and that will hold your button while you're sewing from left to right, securing it. And you use that in conjunction with this cover. This cover covers the feed dogs in this machine. This machine doesn't have a button to lower the feed dogs. Instead, you cover them. So there's two little circular connections down on the needle plate and click into position. And they cover the feed dogs and stop the feed dogs from moving the fabric, while this holds onto the button and leaves space just for you to sew from left to right to secure the button on the fabric. So that's those two. This is the Singer blind hemming foot. It looks different to probably the most usual blind hemming foots that are used now. The guide on this is it's a small piece of plastic here at the side. You can just about feel it. Probably wouldn't be my favorite one. It's handy that it's see-through, but I prefer the metal blind hemming feet because the guide on the side of them is more inclined to hold your fabric and stop the fabric from moving or sliding out of the way. I've tried this, it does work, but you'd really want a lot of practice. This is just a screwdriver for opening and closing where your needle goes, and for taking off your needle plate and cleaning in under your needle throat. This guide goes in sideways into where your foot is, where your needle is attached, and this can be positioned then beside your fabric and can help with quilting, where you need to sew along in a couple of different in rows that need to be equal distance apart. So you sew one row and then you will have this guide in following the row stitches while you sew another row, and that will make each row then equidistant from the one before. This little brush then is some cleaning inside, and if you pull it apart there's also a stitch ripper inside, so that's for removing stitches when you've made a mistake. This is your zipper foot or piping foot, and this has two positions. It can either be attached on the left hand side or on the right hand side, depending on which side of the zip you're doing, or which side where you want to position your piping. And when you position it, the first thing you do is twist the flywheel towards you and make sure that your needle will go down in this tiny space here and not hit the metal, because if you attach this and then put your foot in the pedal and don't have this in the right position, your needle will hit the metal and it'll break and you'll be in trouble. This then is a twin needle, and this is for hemming the bottom of knits. You just attach two spools to your machine, thread both holes in this needle, and then using a long straight stitch, sew along the bottom of your hems, especially on jersey or French terry and that sort of highly stretched fabric. And that will give you two parallel rows of stitching on the front, and it'll give you a zigzag on the back, and there's stretch in that, so your row of stitches won't pop if you pull them apart. There's a bit of stretch, a bit of give in it.